First up, we have public comment. We've got 2 people today that are signed up. First up is Kevin Gard. Mr. Gard.
I am Kevin Gard at 1644 Standard Trail. Thank you for the advisory board members and city staff for this opportunity to speak. I regularly enjoy using the Raleigh Greenway system, where I've biked over 24,000 miles in the last 12 years. That's almost once around the earth. I'm here today to speak in behalf of my neighbors and the Emmon Park HOA in support of paving the Emmon Park Greenway connector to the Mine Creek Trail as part of the Mine Creek Greenway Improvement Project. The Emmon Park access point connects over 500 single-family homes, townhomes, and apartment units within Emmon Park development and neighboring French Drive. The Raleigh Greenway access is recognized as an important benefit to the neighborhood, and the Emmon Park HOA is in full support of the access improvement project. In 2022, NCDOT installed a much-needed traffic control signal and pedestrian crosswalk at the intersection of Lead Mine Road, Sugarbush Road, and Emmon Park Drive. The new crosswalk provides safe pedestrian access for over 490 townhomes and apartments on the west side of Lead Mine Road to sidewalks in Emmon Park. In total, residents living in over 1,000 homes, townhomes, and apartments have access to the Raleigh Greenway via the Emmon Park connector to the Mine Creek Trail. The Emmon Park Greenway connector is a gravel path that's almost a quarter-mile long with a 50-foot change in elevation along the way. However, the gravel grade is as steep as 16% over a 100-foot stretch. The combination of gravel path and steep slope make it very difficult for strollers and bicycles, other than mountain bikes, to traverse. I can't imagine anyone trying to take a stroller on the gravel hill. As for biking, I find it nerve-wracking on the descent, hoping I don't wipe out, and on the ascent, if you lose any traction, you come to a dead stop and have to walk up the rest of the way. The trail is also surrounded by steep slopes as the connection descends to the Mine Creek Trail. Big downpour storms frequently wash out part of the gravel water flow is not completely diverted away from the Greenway. So we hope that water runoff management along the trail is also part of the improvement design. In conclusion, paving the Emmon Park connector removes a barrier for young families and other residents wishing to access the Greenway safely and conveniently. Bicyclists will have a safer and easier time entering and exiting the Greenway. These improvements will encourage more residents to enjoy the many benefits provided by the Greenway, as I and my neighbors have. Thank you for listening and for your service on behalf of the citizens of Raleigh.
Thank you, Mr. Gard. And I'm pretty partial, but I like that idea because that's how I get on the Greenway. Next up, we have Pete DeHaven.
Good evening. My name is Pete DeHaven, and I live in the Crabtree Heights neighborhood. I would like to speak briefly about the Big Branch Greenway Connector project. I want to convey my thanks to the leadership of this effort, Parks and Recreation, the Greenway Committee, and this board for the work that you all have done in the very structured and well-sequenced series of interactions that we have had. Most of my comments are similar to those I delivered in the July meeting, so I will summarize them, although there is one topic that I will cover for the first time. I believe in the Greenway as an important city amenity. My family and I have benefited not only from the fresh air and exercise that it offers, but also from its relative safety, being mostly flat and uninterrupted by roads. 2 connector alternatives were considered that would traverse Crabtree Heights, those being the Plantation and Belvin option and the Plantation and Hines option. I reiterate 2 main concerns with the Crabtree Heights options, first being safety. Safety-related concerns for the Crabtree Heights alternatives relate to 2 aspects, and the first of those is topography. The steep slopes within the streets and front yards of Crabtree Heights would jeopardize the safety of Greenway users, especially young children on bicycles or scooters. And the other being driveway and road crossings. Crabtree Heights options would require numerous crossings of residence driveways, commercial driveways, and roads, all of which increase the potential for collisions between Greenway users and residents, parents of daycare students, and office workers. There's also the aspect of Greenway character. Greenway use through a densely built neighborhood such as Crabtree Heights through residents' front and side yards and with repetitive crossings of driveways and streets would not afford the Greenway experience that we know and love. An additional point I wish to make concerns the consideration of sidewalks on both sides of the roads in Crabtree Heights as a substitute for a full Greenway installation. Sidewalks do not offer the same level of service as the full Greenway corridor due to the lack of width to accommodate opposing traffic or passing bicyclists. Additionally, a Greenway corridor routed on sidewalks in Crabtree Heights would still face the same safety challenges of topography and frequent driveway crossings as a full Greenway installation. Hence, I remain opposed to the consideration of either a full Greenway or narrower sidewalk installation in Crabtree Heights. Thank you for the chance to speak here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. DeHaven. All right, we're going to skip over the Raleigh Youth Council report for now until they arrive. Next, we have a report on Lake Johnson by Mr. Hissler.
Good evening, everyone. Ken Hissler, Assistant Director. My area is the recreation. We've met before, but for those of you who haven't, I manage our active side of our world with all of our recreation programs, aquatics, athletics, community centers, all the things that you think of when you think kind of traditional recreation. So I wanted to come and present to you on a topic. It's been about 18 months, 16 months since I was here to talk to you on a partnership project we've been looking at Lake Johnson Pool. So Lake Johnson, Southwest Raleigh area, we have an opportunity to work with a local partner to be able to invest in a pool that was built in 1984. So what I want to do quickly tonight is kind of go through how we got here, the public benefit of the opportunity, what is included in the renovation, our next steps, and to address any questions you may have. So jumping into it. So the project started in 2022. I want to paint a little bit of a picture for some of you who weren't on the advisory board at that time. We were just coming out of a pandemic. Some may say we were still in the pandemic, but either way, we had a very difficult time as we were going through that period of hiring lifeguards. I actually spent more time at this podium talking to the elected officials about some of the challenges that we had in operating our pools coming out of the pandemic and hiring enough guards, maximizing opportunity within those spaces. At that time, City Council had asked us to look at potential other opportunities to maximize use working with other partners. Simply, how can we use the pools more and not being fully dependent upon city staff to make that happen? And out of that emerged a conversation with a group called Wolfpack Elite, which is a program that it's kind of a master's group of swimmers. They actually had folks who competed in the Olympics this past year and did very well. But they are a master's swimmer group. Some are college age, some are also young adult, but it's how do they want to continue competing at a very high level, and they run a swim program here in the Raleigh area. They were looking at a place to have as a permanent training facility. So they approached us about the opportunity to invest in one of our pools, and that conversation happened in the summer of 2022, and it tied in with that conversation that we had just had with City Council. They brought forward a proposal, and what that was they were going to say, we will help upgrade your pool, and in return, we want access to that. And as part of that access, they wanted to think year-round. So the City of Raleigh currently has 8 pools. 4 of them are year-round, 4 of them are seasonal. We use Poland Aquatic Center is our one that was built for the most competition, followed quickly by Optimist as our next one. The reason I bring them up, because I can use both 25-yard and 50-meter lanes in those areas. So we start to get challenged on water. For those of you who aren't familiar, none of the Wake County high schools none of the Wake County high schools have pools as part of their program. They all rely on us, the TAC, NC State, or St. Mary's also has a pool. So that's how they come to their swimming space. So as you can imagine, our pools are already in pretty high demand. And that doesn't get into the third-party competitive swim groups like the Marlins of Raleigh, New Wave, other groups that continue to put pressure on our pools outside of lap swimming, recreation use, and swimming and instruction. So what I've outlined here is first conversation in 2022, we started to receive some proposals over about the next year, and that was really as Stephen and I started to go back and forth what they want, what the city would need out of that term, but one of the keys was they wanted to turn the pool into a year-round opportunity. So I mentioned that we only have 4, And as Steve and I have been around for a couple days, we actually used to only have two. And so Optimist and Millbrook were both once upon a time seasonal pools. We put, I'm going to say a bubble. I don't want to use the word bubble, but it's the old-fashioned one that comes around that we had. Before, we used to actually bubble that over the winter. It was a process that we went through in parks, that we had a temporary space that we go out, open and close every year, that we would do as part of that, because those pools were used year-round. So bringing this forward, they were like, we would like to bring the opportunity to heat that pool and to bring a gas line to that. So we went through a series of negotiations on proposals. We've gone through a series of presentations over the past year between council members, Southwest Raleigh area. I get to go talk to Bob. And we kind of have worked through this different area. The project paused in summer of 2020, spring of 2024, to restart in August of 2024. And since then, we've been working on the negotiation of the term. And the big change is, instead of putting in, I'm getting ahead of myself in the slide, is originally we were looking at putting in a 50-meter pool. And that would have required much more significant impact on the existing Lake Johnson pool area. Hearing feedback from the community, working with the partner, what you'll see in the project is it really is just replacing the existing 25 yards or 25-yard space that is out there. So our last conversation was about a month ago over with the District D Neighborhood Association. Here's some of the key opportunities that we get. The pool was built in 1984. That is the original pool shell. It has met its life expectancy. And so this is an opportunity for us to be able to invest in it, not using city dollars. And so as part of that, they would like to have year-round access. So what I've broken down for you on this slide is, in yellow is when Raleigh Parks would continue to use the pool. So as I have in the summer, we would do our traditional recreational swim time hours. And then in the off-season, if we have this opportunity, we would look at three different things we could do. Lap swimming, which is a popular opportunity. Aquatic programs, i.e. instructional programs. And then third-party use. As I already mentioned, we have several competitive swim groups as well as the school systems who are looking for space. That last one becomes more of a revenue-generating opportunity. So as we think about additional expense to operate year-round, we can then charge the third-party group. Right now, aquatics are about $1 million a year business just in gate. So what I mean by gate, that's people coming on a weekend or those third-party groups renting space. That does not account for our teaching in our instructional programs. That's just people coming in and using this space. So if we think about this, it's another opportunity to provide more water throughout the year. In return, Wolfpack Elite has requested access during the summer from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., and then during the winter months, off season, so that's after Labor Day, Monday through Friday in the morning, Monday through Friday in the afternoon, and then Saturday mornings. Outside of that, the pool would be available for us to use, as I put up there, lap swimming, aquatic programs, and third-party use. In return for this, Wolfpack Elite is going to invest at least $2 million in the replacement of the pool shell. So what does that include? So this is a most recent picture that they have provided. It's a replacement of the new pool shell. As you'll see back in here later, that's also an upgrade to the existing pumps, filter systems to make sure they can keep up the new capacity. But the full renovation is replacing the shell. We will maintain the kiddie pool, as I talked about, spray ground to remain. As part of this, Raleigh Parks has an aging bathhouse. So we're going to invest in it, just like we need to invest in all of our bathhouses that we also have at Biltmore Hills, at Ridge Road Pool, and at Longview Pool. And then we will bring in that gas line to be able to provide the heat on the winter months. So who's doing what? Wolfpack Elite is going to provide the pool. One of the benefits of working with this group is they are going to work with a group called Mirtha. And I'm not going to assume that everybody here knows what Mirtha pools are, but Mirtha pools are the ones who come into like the Olympics and the World Championships, and they put a pool where there wasn't a pool. And they're able to assemble that. So this is a world-class type of system that they're working with right now, and we're working on a design with. As I mentioned, they're going to upgrade our pumps and our filter systems. Again, they need to be able to keep up with the new capacity. This is something that's not going to be borne on the city dollar. And then the terms of the agreement, it's a 9-year term with a renewal option. So that's kind of the Wolfpack Elite side of this. What Raleigh Parks will do, as I said, we will invest in our bathhouse to upgrade that. We will also do some site improvements because we've been out there. We want to make sure aesthetically it's meeting the expectations. We manage the pool now. We'll continue to manage the pool later, but I am going to stop on a caveat there for a minute. Going back to the directive that City Council asked us to look into is when they are there, they will be required to provide the lifeguards and the management of the space. That is not something where Raleigh Parks will be required to staff the space at that time. It's built into the agreement. All of their coaches are required to be certified and as lifeguard, as rescuers, and they will have that responsibility. We've already also built into it that we will either provide keys to the facility, or more likely what we're building into our plan is that they'll use one of these. And we really want one of these because then I can tell when you come and go, right? That's easily recordable. So we're building that into our design. We staff the pool and we manage the pool. So when we're using it for our programming, we would continue to do that. We would have the continued care of the facility. I'm responsible for the facility today. We're going to be responsible for the facility moving forward, and then our annual operating costs. So where we are today is we have a draft agreement with the partner. Our next steps are to go to City Council. We wanted to come here and refresh you guys, or for those of you hearing it for the first time, we wanted to share this, this proposal with all of you. We've already, like I said, we have 95% drawings on the bathhouse improvements, so we're close to being able to implement those improvements. We've already worked with Dominion Gas. The gas line is actually down Athens Drive. What we did was we put a pause on it when the project paused to come across the park. And then we're hoping to complete construction in 2025, 2026. I put pending permitting just because I've, again, been around for a little bit. And if that gets delayed as we work through the permitting, then we would adjust operations. In my perfect world, everything happens outside of the summer so that the public doesn't get impacted during how they currently use it recreationally. Even working with a partner, if for some reason we can't get everything done to where we could be ready for Memorial Day of 2026, then we would delay until after the summer season. Because we do recognize the value and the joy the community has of the pool in that area. So that's the proposal. Wanted to bring it to you all, see if you guys have any questions for me or anything else I can help you with. And this is the actual design of what the pool will look like.
Right. Any questions for Ken? Linda?
I've got several, and I don't know if you want me to ask all of them at once?
Maybe just the first one, and we'll kind of
Okay.
move around, and then I'll come back to you.
The image does not show a cover. Is this going to be covered in the winter?
We will have heat blankets, so we will not have a bubble over it.
Okay.
What we will use are heat blankets that will be removed daily. So we would put them on, actually they might be removed twice daily. So overnight, the goal is to retain the heat. So when we close for operations, whenever that is, blankets go back on. Wolfpack Elite would come in and remove them for their morning training. If they're not going to be used again until the afternoon, we would put them back on. Obviously, that's going to be somewhat seasonal. You know, as we get colder, that becomes more important to make sure they happen on that recurring basis and as frequently as possible.
Ian?
Hi, thanks, Ken. This is more a general question, but does Wake County or does Raleigh Parks have an agreement with Wake County about which schools use this as their home pool, and is it something that is charged for?
The general answer is yes. Wake County does use our pools for, like, I'm going to use Sanderson as probably my best example. So through a joint use agreement, Sanderson High School, being right next to Optimus Park, does use that as their home pool. Our Wake County is charged to use all of our pools for their swim programs. Where if they're renting space, if they're using space at one of our pools, then they are charged for use of that space.
And that would count as one of the third-party uses that you
It
mentioned?
would, more than likely. I don't know if the Athens students are going to be super excited to go out here and swim in the middle of the winter, but we already accommodate them more than likely at pull-in. But it could be, I'm not going to speculate as how they would use this, but what it does do is it takes pressure off. So if you think during that season, our competitive third groups, I'm going to use the Marlins of Raleigh or New Wave, they would be more inclined to know if they could have this more frequently, they would pull out of the competition either at Optimist or Pull-in to be able to get some of those lanes. So again, it's that being able to meet the supply and demand in a little bit of a non-normal way.
Other questions over here? All right, Linda?
Can you tell me the difference in cost for maintenance or managing the pool between a heated pool and a non-heated pool?
Operationally, it's when I think about staffing. So in this case, when we're open in the summer, I'm going to staff the main pool, I'm going to staff the kiddie pool, and I'm also going to have the spray ground operational. So year round, I'm just going to mostly be dealing with the space that you're looking at now. The others would be winterized and we would not be using them. So it's more than likely, and again, depending upon my function, If I'm just having third-party use, I'm probably gonna have a pool manager and I'm gonna have 3 lifeguards. I used to like to use the phrase, I need 1 in a chair and one in each chair and 1 in the box.
Okay, so I understand the complexity of staffing. I'm talking about the cost of heating the pool.
So yeah, we've looked at the pool. I've got 2 different models. I'm estimating worst-case scenario. So that when I say that December, January, probably in that $10,000 max a month, and I'm using 2 different ones. Millbrook and Optimist right now are heated pools, but they have a fixed structure, but it's a membrane structure. So we were able to look at what our bills are for that. And then I've also worked with our partner who has experience with this with a local pool, and our program is going to be much more robust than theirs. So what she gave me was their expenses based on they would take the blanket off in the morning, they wouldn't put it back on until the end, and it was more or less just a cover versus a thicker millimeter heat blanket. So I'm estimating in those worst case scenario months of that December, January, and that's assuming that we open it up beyond just the Wolfpack Elite use, probably in that somewhere around $10,000 a month.
So $10,000 a month, and for maybe 2 months a year, anywhere from 3 to 5 for the rest. So I can't do the math on that, but $100,000 a year?
If I were to estimate 10 grand times 12, I'm at 120. So I'm probably looking, I would probably venture maybe 30, 40, a little bit in that range. Now, what we do is why I wanted to mention that third-party use. We currently do our fees and charges to Ian's question about renting space. I can also pass part of that charge back on to the third-party user. Right. So in our fees and charges program, we do this often. I did it in gyms for a long time. I had a conditioned gym and I had a non-conditioned gym, and we charged a differential in that rental period.
Okay.
Another question?
Yeah.
Linda?
The end of the 9-year agreement.
Yep.
Does Wolfpack Elite become a third party and they start paying fees, or do they expect to continue their sort of using off their $2 million investment?
You know, it's all in the negotiation. You know, at that point, they would be offered the opportunity. So it has written into the agreement that they would be offered the opportunity to renew that. It doesn't say that it would be under the same terms. So the same thing that we would evaluate at that point is that financial investment that you made, you also got a return on that investment. We now more than likely have to renegotiate what that next term is going to look like.
Okay. The small detail, but the gas line route that will come in, will that come up the road?
Right now, it runs parallel to Athens Drive. It's Jaguar Park Drive.
Okay.
And then what more than likely, we've already talked to Dominion Gas, there's going to be a lot of boring.
Okay.
Because there's quite a bit of canopy, quite a bit of asphalt. Not a big fan of asphalt cuts because it never goes back well. And we don't, obviously, one of the great things about Lake Johnson is the tree canopy. So when we met with them, we already talked about, like, here's the kind of the path that would need to go, but there's a lot of directional boring that's going to have to happen.
So we wouldn't expect a wide cut through Lake Johnson.
I'm not planning
Woodland.
on clear cutting a path to bring in the gas line in there, no.
Okay.
Bob?
Looking at the specifications that I see for pools here, organizing groups keep stressing the importance of the water temperature being between 77 and 82 degrees for numerous reasons. Are we going to be able to achieve those kinds of temperatures?
Yes, we do that now. And 81, 82 is kind of what the competitive swimming is looking at.
Okay.
Yes, that's part of the design. And why when I talk about the filters, the pumps, working through, that's where working with our consultant and the partner to be able to do that, yes. I mean, that's key to it, Bob. If I can't hit that temperature, then it's not of value to anyone.
Yeah, it's like every third sentence they say the critical temperatures are. Like that. And by the way, I believe the gas line was put in about a year ago.
It was about that time.
Coming all the way down.
Yeah.
All right. Any other? Linda?
Yeah. I just lost it. The cost of the pool, if Wolfpack Elite said, never mind, and walked away, what would it cost to put an unheated pool in?
Oh, you might have got me there, Linda.
I don't know if we have that number. One of the things is I would assume, and I'll Ken to chime in, if we replace that pool shell now unheated, it would be more than $2 million.
And so if there's cost overrun, Wolfpack Elite will
Yeah,
absorb that.
So
They're on the hook for it.
what we've made, thank you, what we've made clear is that's y'all, in simple terms. So in order to make this work, you are responsible for the pool shell and the deck that goes with that, and then also upgrade of the pump system and the filter system. So in order to kind of the pool proper, to make that meet expectations, that's on them.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for Ken? Nope, thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have the Mine Creek schematic presentation.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kimberly Saran. I'm a Greenway project manager in the Parks Department, landscape architect, project manager for Mine Creek Greenway trail improvements. With me also is Dewberry Engineers. I'm going to run through the first couple slides, and then I'll hand it over to Ellie with Dewberry to go through some of the more detailed aspects of the project. So the Mine Creek Greenway Trail improvements, we're going to go through the project background. Like I said, I'll take community engagement, and then Dewberry will go through some of the schematic design review. We're going to talk about a detour during the Greenway closure, and then provide some next steps. So project background, this is an existing trail for, I'm sure everybody knows, existing trail in the northern section of Raleigh. The proposed scope is some trail improvements to include structure replacement and repair, accessibility and safety, only trail resurfacing. We're not realigning or we're not realigning the trail. We'll be doing some widening and resurfacing only. Stream stabilization, providing some neighborhood connections, and then upgrading the signage and amenities to that new signage package. This is a 2022 Parks Bond project, and the budget is $5.6 million for design and construction. So again, the project area, the northern part of Raleigh, around Shelley Lake, the specific project area on the right side of the slide here, you'll see Shelley Lake, and then our section that for this project is just south of Shelley Lake along Millbrook Road, about a mile south to North Hills Drive, right before it picks up with Crabtree Creek Trail. The community engagement, so the public participation goal is consult level, and the public is informed of and can provide feedback on the provided options. So the next slide will be a little bit more detail of our community engagement, but we had 2 meetings, so we had 2 public open houses, and then you'll see there about 1,500 postcards went out to property owners. There was yard signs put out, informational flyers provided in Spanish and English, and then we advertised on all the digital sites as well. So we had 2 public engagement meetings. The first one was a weekday afternoon open house that was at Sertoma Arts Center, and then the second meeting was Saturday, where the consultant as well as city staff were stationed along the trail during the morning hours between 8 and 10, 8 and 11, to actively engage with the users during that time. Some of the feedback that we heard during these public engagement meetings was the desired connections to both the Inman Park neighborhood and the Yorkshire Downs neighborhood, which we'll hear about in a little bit. Improve the safety of the structures as well as widening the trail. There's some parts where it's about 8 feet now, so we would widen that to the standard. And then questions regarding schedule of construction. Of course, that was a big question. How long is our beloved trail going to be closed? So this Greenway improvements is also being coordinated with the larger projects of the Raleigh water sewer improvement projects along this same corridor, and then the Shelley Road Bridge replacement project. The Shelley Road Bridge replacement project is just south of Millbrook Road. Some of those schedules are in flux, and we are working to coordinate with all of those departments to have this as compact of a schedule for construction as possible. And then we also got questions regarding natural habitat protection along the trail, and then, of course, need for lighting in that tunnel under Millbrook Road. And then I will hand it over to Ellie with Dewberry Engineers, our consultant, to go through the more specifics of the improvements.
Thanks, Kimberly. Hi, good evening. So I'm going to go through some of the more technical aspects of the design. We are starting with the asphalt trail. The images on the screen are of Mine Creek, and you can see that there's cracking, buckling along the trail. We're not only fixing those issues, we're also widening the trail and adding that 2-foot shoulder, gravel shoulder on either side, because that is the current standard for the Capital Area Greenway Master Plan. And I guess I just click, perfect. And what that schematic design looks like is here on the screen. That is a typical section in the lower right corner and our kind of typical alignment on the left side of the screen. So you can see the dashed line shows that existing trail where the width varies, and you can see our trail overlapping it with, which is a wider path and that 2-foot shoulder on either side. The next proposed improvement, we are hoping to do some stream bank stabilization. There is one area, which you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, along this trail where the stream is actually undercutting the trail, and that's causing some buckling of the asphalt trail, and we want to stop that in its tracks, and so we're proposing stabilizing that stream. The middle 2 images are more green alternatives. Flex MSC is a product that is a retaining wall, but it's sandbag, soil bag, so you can plant it, which is very nice. But then there's also the more hard alternative on the left side of the screen, which is just your classic Ready Rock retaining wall. And what that looks like in our schematic design, here are a couple of typical sections on the left side of the screen of utilizing plant material, utilizing plant material, and on the right-hand side of the screen is that area where I was describing where the stream is undercutting the trail. This is just under structure 33, which I have a map of these structures, so you know what I'm talking about when I say that. But this is right where Mine Creek crosses, or our trail crosses Mine Creek. So here's that map that I was just describing, and I think you can see my cursor. So this is that area. And that brings us to our next proposed improvement, which is some structural improvements along our trail. We're going to do a full replacement of bridges 17, 19, 32, and 33. 17 and 19 are here along Shelley Lake, and that is not part of this design, but it is constructed under the same bond, so that's why we have them shown here. And then 32 and 33 are these 2 northern bridges here. Images shown on the left side of the screen. We are also going to do some decking improvements, concrete replacement for structures 29 and 31, which are just minor tributary bridges. And then we're hoping to also be able to do improvements on 27 and 28. 27 is this longer boardwalk to the south of our trail, which you might be familiar with, and 28 is another boardwalk along that Inman Park connector path. And just for a quick history on the reasons for these structure replacements, it was May of last year that City Council decided to replace the structures and keep the trail alignment on the east side of the creek rather than removing these old structures and realigning it to the west side of the creek. And that estimated construction cost of structures 32 and 33 is $1.2 million. And these are just images of that area. So what that looks like in schematic design, this is our typical section cut, but you'll probably recognize these bridges. This is a typical City of Raleigh standard to upgrade our timber bridges to a concrete structure. So our next proposed improvement is the parking area, the trailhead where our project starts on the north end of the site, just under Shelley Lake. We are hoping to replace the existing stairs that are here that are shown in the photo, include a new accessible path from the parking to the trail, and improvements to the underpass at Millbrook Road, hopefully putting in some lighting in there, and replacing the signage and amenities in that area as well. That will be up to date with the new wayfinding sign package. So what that looks like, this is our schematic plan view. This is that accessible path that connects to Millbrook Road and, of course, replacing these stairs, but keeping the alignment, that existing alignment, the same. I think this is our last proposed improvements that we're showing today. These are, of course, neighborhood trail connections, so definitely not the least important. We have two connections here that we are looking at. Number one is the trail that connects Yorkshire Downs to our trail, and that is along Carter Street. And the second one is improvements to the trail that connects to Inman Park, which connects at Standard Trail, which you heard about earlier tonight. We realize there's drainage issues, gravel issues along these trails, and we're hoping to improve them so people have a better access point. And then finally, we wanted to talk about the detour route during construction, because that's a big area of concern for most people. When these Greenway trails go under construction, you want to know how am I going to get around it? We definitely do anticipate Greenway closure, but there is a potential for phasing of the closure during construction. And you can see on this map on the right-hand side of the screen, the available detour route would likely be along Millbrook Road and then south North Hills Drive. So it would connect at the Shelley Lake parking lot and then reconnect down where our Mine Creek Trail crosses North Hills Drive. And there are images of both of these areas on the south, or on the lower side of the screen. And so our next steps, this is our anticipated schedule. We anticipate having design and permitting complete in fall of 2026, and then the bidding process completed in summer of 2028, which would mean anticipated construction is fall of 2028 through summer of 2029. And I'm gonna bring Kimberly back up, right, if that's okay. You might see a little gap there, and I'm going to bring Kimberly up to explain why.
Yeah, thanks, Ellie. Yeah. And as I mentioned with the public engagement questions we were getting about construction, we are actively coordinating with the Raleigh Water, Mine Creek sewer improvements. Their construction timing is about 27 to 29. And then the Shelley Road Bridge Replacement Project, their construction is late 26 into 27. So what we're hoping to do is follow the sewer improvement projects. They're working from south to north, so from the North Hills Drive area north to Shelley Lake. We're hoping to follow as quickly as possible. There's issues with that, of course, because there's approvals that they have, there's access that they need, et cetera, if they would have to come back and redo a section or something before it's finally closed out. But we are actively working with those departments to follow as closely as possible, which would mean the Greenway would be closed as little as possible, to not have it closed 3 years for them, a year and a half for us. So we are actively working with that. Yeah, it's an ongoing discussion, though, that this schedule, I just kind of gave up at one point of like what numbers are going to be put in here, because everything just keeps changing, and we're following as close as possible. But rest assured, we are coordinating and trying to follow that construction of Raleigh Water as closely as possible. And I think that's so just we're scheduled for October 7th for the City Council meeting.
All right. Any questions before we vote? Take a motion, Bob?
Two things, actually. I assume that the sewer project that has the most effect is the replacement project on the east side, and hopefully the sleeving of the one on the west side will progress as soon as possible along that way. Secondly, there's another bridge that goes across the creek just north of Millbrook Road. It appears to be about the same age construction of the other two. Did I miss it? Is that bridge going to stay as it is, or is there something I haven't seen?
Hey everybody, my name is Bentley Ruggles. I'm a landscape architect, Dewberry Engineers. Sorry, Bob. So we actually are turning and we're anticipating replacing that bridge, but I know the one you're talking about. It's at the outfall for the lake, isn't it? That's the one you're thinking of?
It's the first one south of the lake.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's,
it.
It's the same, based on my looking at it, it's about the same vintage and construction style of the other two that
Yes, sir.
were concerned. And going in there, okay, I can hear myself.
I'd hear you, right?
Okay. It's a challenge. But it looks like it needs to be looked at also, at least with some plan, because if the other two are kind of, then this one is close behind it. And it has a lot of traffic because you come out of the parking lot, you go down the stairs, and you're right around it. So if we can, maybe we should look at that and at least have some
I think you just
thought of it.
confirmed we are replacing. It's the one underneath Millbrook Road.
Yeah, no, that's not the. No, yeah, you're thinking about the one that parallels under the bridge, and we are fixing that one. We've got a. That one's an engineering.
That's the squirrely one.
Yeah, that one's going to be an engineering feat. We're
That
still
one
working on
needs
that.
Lights, it needs better.
Yes, sir.
Everything.
No, you're right. No, we so we're not actually improving that bridge as a part of this project. I'm sure the city's considering it or other things, but we actually take a pretty hard right turn right before it and go under the bridge, and our project goes on down to North Hills Drive. So we're not actually coming close to that one.
That one's not far behind, and it's a really cool place to stand because
It is a cool
water
place to stand,
flows
I agree.
every day right through there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's the outfall for the lake. It's got like a big old CMP pipe coming out.
All right, Ian?
Hey, you touched on the two neighborhood connection programs or projects. Is that going to be paved or is that budget depending on what's available?
Answer that question. I mean, right now, I believe we have it in the budget to pave it, so we intend on paving it. And then we're looking at what we can do to improve the drainage. So we might have a couple culverts kind of run around and do some grading to make that a little bit better, so they can enjoy it.
All right, thank you.
All right. Questions down here? Kate?
So this is a question about the stream stabilization
Yes, ma'am.
slide that you had. So was I understanding correctly that those were different options that you're looking at? So you just don't know what you're going to do yet?
Not yet. That is correct. Yes, we're still evaluating it. And really just trying to keep costs in mind. Really, the Ready Rock wall is pretty expensive, but the Flex MSC can be fairly expensive too. The difference really is coming down to that maintenance, that long-term maintenance with one or the other. And then we've got our engineering team taking a look at the ramifications of putting a harder solution. Maybe that a lot of times when you do that in streams, it might kick that water kind of across. So we want to make sure that we're being responsible when we're doing that. So it's just an option right now.
Okay, thank you. That was just my concern too about doing that to a stream bank.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anybody else?
We need a motion.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for the work on this.
chat.
It really blew my mind to hear that you guys were physically out there in the morning on the track, kind of intercepting users to get feedback. I think that kind of thoroughness really shows up in the projects when they get finished. So thank you guys.
Okay. There's no other questions. To Bob's point, we do need a motion. Anybody have a motion on this recommendation?
Motion to vote.
All right. Ian made a motion. Is there a second? Second. There's a second. All those in favor? All right. This. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I interpret it as a yeah. No, thank you. I assume your motion was to recommend.
Recommend approve the schematic design.
Oh, that could change the vote. Is that no? Motion passes. I think that's what everybody assumed it was. Thank you guys. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And Stephen, thank you for jumping in. The next item of business is the nominating committee. So put you back on
There were two sets of nominations, both in the set for our current chair and vice chair. And outside of that, there were no nominations for anyone else in the position of chair, and no other nominations for our position in vice chair. Is there anyone opposed and differing in that regard that I received, or want to make nominations elsewhere? Seeing
Yeah,
none,
you guys can make a motion from the table if there's a last second.
I'm seeing no. Second, well, then we have our chair and vice chair.
Thank you, guys. I think I'm speaking for both of us when I say we appreciate getting elected to this position. We take it seriously, but we also can't do what we do without everybody here as a board. And so it just really means a lot, but excited about the year that's coming up and everything that we're going to do. All right. And thank you, Stephen. Appreciate you taking on that job. Somebody has to do it every year.
Worthy duty.
All right, now we've got the fun business. We've been waiting a year to do this. We get 2 different sets of minutes that we can approve, so I'm not sure if everybody got a chance to take a look at those. We're going to approve them in batches. There's a set of minutes from 2024. Even if you weren't on the board at that time, we can make a motion and you can vote on it. And then there's a set of minutes from 2025, so it's basically everything leading up to, not including tonight.
I had a question. The one from January 2025, it looks like it gets cut off halfway through. There's no second half to it. It just basically stops at the director's report and then it's blank afterwards.
Yeah, let's pull that one out
Okay.
and not vote on that one.
And as a minor comment, it says 22 baseball fields, and I don't think there's 22 baseball fields at the Kyle Drive Park.
At Kyle Drive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely make that change.
It's the same one, January 2025.
I just had a question.
Yeah, Kate, go ahead.
Are these AI generated? I like the format of it, and it sure seems smart.
No, we're paying a third party to do it. eScribe, which we are moving to, may have the capacity to do it. It has been a challenge to find a service that likes to do minutes.
I guess I'll make a motion to remove those 2 respective minutes from the blocking.
Just the one, January.
Just the one? Oh, just the one. Okay, so then just the January 2025.
Is there a second for that motion? That's to make the corrections that Ian suggested. It's been seconded. All those in favor of that edit?
Aye.
All right, that passes. All right, now we have a slightly different 2 sets of minutes, but is there a motion to accept the first one, the 2024?
So moved.
All right, it's been motioned. All right, it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the 2025 minutes?
So moved.
All right, motion's been made. Second? Steve's seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we got minutes approved, finally. All right, and now committee reports. Director's report.
There we go. I have
How did I
a
skip
lot of
over
good
you?
things to share, Mr. Chair. I hope everybody's had a great summer. We have been busy, and you'll see in the report, we have been busy getting a lot of grant awards. So I'll go through some highlights. One is just by procedure, if we have art or any gift more than $50,000, the council has to approve it, and we received some gifts to our arts collection that are valued over $50,000. And council recently approved that. We received a grant from the Division of Water Resources of North Carolina to begin to look at some erosion issues we have at Lake Wheeler. So it's a $50,000 feasibility study grant. If the state likes what we do, then they give us funds for the design, and if they like the design, then they fund the construction. So it's a sequential award. So really happy to get that. We got a grant for some new batting cages at a value of $25,000 from the North Carolina Amateur Sports Host Grant. Skip over to some other items. One of the actions the council made recently was to dissolve the Historic Cemeteries Board, so you will no longer get Charles's amazing reports on the historic cemeteries. Now they dissolved that board, but they did roll the responsibility up into the Historic Resources and Museums Board, And thank you to Charles for advancing the work. I spent time with his cemetery staff last week and was just amazed by the work that they do. So that was exciting. One of the things that we've brought forth to the council is investments in security. So downtown security and some security at Dix Park. So one of the goals of mine is to work more closely with the Raleigh Police Department. In some instances, they're short-staffed. So we supplement that with security services, and the council awarded that contract recently. It's a large contract, so we wanted to make sure the board was aware. Thank you to Ian. He delivered on your work plan, so you have an established work plan, and got a lot of support and compliments from Councilmember Silver on how it's shaped and it reflects the park system plan, so thank you. And the Tarboro Road schematic design was also approved by the City Council. Continuing on our wins of funds, we're getting $340,000 from the Conservation Fund for a project at Walnut Creek Wetland Center to provide more access on the other side of the wetland. Currently, you have to pretty much walk around the wetland to get onto over to the center. We got a $35,000 donation from the Society of Preservation of Historic Oakwood. They are turning 75 years or 50 years. The Garden Club's either turning 50 or 75 years. They came to us and said, we would like to improve Valley Henderson. And we said, sure, if you split the cost. So they are going to write us a check for $35,000. Programming during this summer has been well underway. Although we wrapped up camp, we go right into our fall season. We have highlighted some intergenerational programming, which is really great, that we work with our active adults and other areas of the recreation division. And we have converted some pickleball courts over at Sanderford Road Park. I'm sorry, tennis courts to pickleball courts. And now Southeast Raleigh is home to the largest public outdoor pickleball space in Raleigh. So, and they are being beloved. So half the courts you can rent and half the courts are open play. So, according to Ken, there is a waiting list for people to use those courts. The other thing, we do a lot of work to support families and children for back to school. And in the month of August, we had 9 events, and we gave away over 2,000 backpacks to families that need them. So it's quite exciting. The other program that I like, we have in here, it's fall, so we have to talk about football, but our favorite football program is our Challenge football program. It is a partnership with our Specialized Recreation and Inclusion Services and the Carolina Panthers. And either last season or the season before, the Panthers had our students down actually to Charlotte to experience their facilities. One of the things we had this summer is obviously the opening of the Gibson Play Plaza, smashing success. I gave a presentation Monday to the council. We had 600,000 visitors in the first 3 months. And as far as parks and outdoor spaces, in North Carolina, it was the second most visited location in North Carolina behind Wrightsville Beach. So quite proud of that. But with that comes a lot of demands, which the waterfall had some problems. So it was being used so much, we had to pause for a week and do some repairs on it, but our staff had it fixed in under a week, which is quite incredible. And then we've won the Sir Walter Raleigh Award for our Sunflowers demonstration, and Gibson Play Plaza won the Downtown Raleigh Impact Award. And then the biggest windfall of funds we got, one of the things that we've been concerned about is whether we were going to get $8.6 million for Smoky Hollow. There were some changes in the National Park Service and how they fund things, but we received notice from the National Park Service that we're getting $8.6 million for Smoky Hollow, so that's a big boost to that project. But I'm not done yet. We are getting $400,000 to support one of the bond projects you all would be working on, which is the Marsh Creek feasibility study. So that will help that project. And then we are going to nearly double our trails at Forest Ridge through a $350,000 grant. So those 2 grants come from, if you didn't realize, last year was the year of the trails for North Carolina, and the governor proclaimed we are the Great Trail State. And the General Assembly established a fund to help trail initiatives, and we got 2 awards. One for, like I said, $400,000 for Marsh Creek, and then one for $350 for Forest Ridge. And the latest one we got was last night. So our staff partnered with the Charlotte Hornets to have a clinic. We had about 100 kids, and the Hornets didn't have players, but they had some of their staff show kids some ball skills and so forth. And at the end, they surprisingly gave us a $10,000 check. So very, very exciting. I don't know if every summer is going to be like this, but it felt really good, really good. And then just next week, our staff will be going to Orlando, where we will get our accreditation. And let's just say we got a really good score. I can't say it because it hasn't been announced, so hopefully it's not on the microphone. So, so Monday morning, our staff, there's about 15 of us that are going, will receive our national accreditation. So that's what I have. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. That was a great director's report. It's a lot of good news, a lot of good stuff happening. Now we will move to committee reports. Parks Committee met last week, and we reviewed the Forestville Road updates to that park. We had a visitor, Roger Montague. He's on the CAG for Forestville Road Park, and he's also a member of the family that donated that land. So it was special having Roger there. He was able to give us perspective on how his father built some of the historical structures there and just some of the background of that space. We reviewed the park and some of the updates to that plan, and so we're looking forward to additional updates that are going to come up in the schematic design when those come forward. And that was it for Parks Committee. Greenway Committee, you guys had more on the agenda, I think.
We had two presentations. We received the final proposed alignment for Big Branch. I would suggest if you want to talk to Bob, Ian, or I about it offline, we could talk about that. It'll come in front of this committee next month. We received a second presentation on wayfinding implementation. We've got a new wayfinding signage plan for the Greenway, and there's $100,000 allocated to put it in. $100,000 per year over 5 years, and we talked about placement of that. Got a couple of frog initiatives. Raleigh Parks is doing a mural on the Pullen Road underpass with Sam Green, and Frog has the opportunity to do some of the first volunteer slots of that. It's the first week of October. If you've got any interest in that, reach out to me, or you can follow it online. And we are doing, Frog's doing our scavenger hunt starting next Friday, 5 weeks into October, system-wide. We are partnering with the city this time, and look for that. Should be a lot of fun. 22 locations, system-wide.
Wow, that's awesome. Sustainability, Kate.
Thanks. So we had a very interesting meeting. Our last meeting was, what happened was Raleigh Transportation came to talk to us about what they're doing for trees and sustainability, and they really gave us a really excellent presentation. Some of the things that they talked about were changes in how they're doing sidewalk repair to help protect trees. Really interesting stuff about new surfacing that they're using in areas of the city that are particularly hot that help keep road temperatures down. So it was very interesting and lots of good questions. Next meeting should be really interesting in terms of our work on the leaf out plan. Big thing that's going to happen is that the staff has been working on lists of native plants that will be provided to two different audiences. One list will go to the planning department for developer use, so that the idea is to give them an easier way to select native plants that will work in their areas without having to do a huge amount of research to figure out every opportunity. And then Zach Manor, our urban forester, is taking the lead on that. And then Lauren Freudenberger, who is our chief horticulturalist, is taking the lead on developing a more comprehensive list about native plants that will go to the public. And they're going to be presenting their work at our next meeting, and I'm pretty excited about that. And we'll also be hearing an update on the, how things are going with the leaf out plan. And I also wanted to say something about a related issue, and it's invasive plants. For the last year or so, there's been a proposal moving forward about trying to expand the use of volunteers in invasive plant removal. And the city is just about to start launching a pilot program, which I'm personally very excited about, since I'm the first leader of this, of a crew. And the idea is to have a crew of about 10 people. Our hope is to have try and get people to come out as often as they can. We'll have 12 work days, really give people a chance to learn about the plants being removed, the techniques for being removed, and we'll go around the city with the hope that if this works, we'll be able to start creating volunteer programs in different parks, so we can really expand the amount of work that's being done on invasive removal.
That's pretty awesome. Kate, when you know the dates for that, please let us know, because I'm sure it would be pretty cool if we could get board members to come out for that and volunteers and be part of the team. Fred Fletcher.
So basically, we just want to thank everybody for doing such a great job. And Mary's not here, but it was really nice to have that new venue. So I think you all might be in agreement. It was really nice to have the parking, and it was a little more intimate, and the decoration was really nice, and everybody's speech, minus mine, was really, really good. I recovered well, but it was really nice, and thank you all so much. And I think all of the recipients and the attendees really enjoyed themselves. So thank you all for that.
Thank you, April. Yeah, just for some of the newer members that weren't here for that, this was the first year that we actually did the Fred Fletcher Awards in Dick's Chapel, which is a really cool venue, and hopefully the start of a new tradition where we do that there every year. So.
And like he said, the reason that they changed it was because of the cost to use Martin Marietta. So it went up, and it really did make sense to use a park or a space because there are so many. So I was glad that we were doing some things that made sense and promoted the space. There are a lot of people who haven't been to Dick's Chapel.
Yeah, that's true. Liaison reports, BPAC.
Okay. BPAC met back in mid-August, and they're currently focusing on updates to the 2013 Comprehensive Pedestrian Plan and to, the 2016 Bike Plan. Active mobility plan improvements, trying to bring together the development and safety of primarily pedestrians, bikes, scooters, and things like that. And we'll be seeing that in the coming months from them. Also, I want to mention, it's not directly related, the expo on Saturday over at the McKimmon Center is going to be an important event for us all to look at coming to if we can. Thank you.
Andrea will be doing one of the programs. So.
Okay. Historic museums, resources, no report. Okay. Arts Commission meets next week, so also no report. Any other liaison report I'm forgetting? No. Dick's did not meet, so no report there. And then we have CAG liaisons. Did any CAGs meet over the past week? Yeah.
Forestville Road continues to go, and we will have, I think the plan is schematic design in January, February, or master plan, not a schematic design, master plan. So there'll be an update before then here.
Okay.
It's another very good group like we've seen before at other places. A lot of diversity, good inputs, deep thought, good personalities of the members and people who get along. So it's really it's a drive for those of us from Southwest, but it's certainly fun. Thanks.
Mr. Montague that you referred to, his son is the artist in residence over at Dick's Park. So
cool. Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. Awesome. Sort of a liaison report. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. For liaison reports.
Linda, will you use your mic?
Sorry. This is probably a question for you two, but the Method Park, aren't you looking for another volunteer to participate with Method Park?
The schematic design was adopted, so I'm not sure if the CAG will meet again.
Oh, okay. If something comes up in the future, let me know, and I'll, because
Absolutely.
that's very close to my house, and I'd like
Okay.
to get to know those folks. Good.
Yep. We will be having a big open house on all the bond projects, probably in like January, just to bring people back to update them, so.
Good, okay. Thank you, Chris. Yeah.
And I forgot to add that the last public open house is on the 22nd at Marsh Creek. They've been well attended before, but this is the last chance for the public to offer their commentary.
Okay. Thank you, Ian. So one new kind of update, City Council has charged us with updating our bylaws. There's only a small limited section of the bylaws that we're permitted to change. But if you are interested in digging into that section, just shoot me an email or a text or talk to me after this meeting. We'll do sort of a ad hoc committee to review that, but we're not going to do any formal meetings. It'll just be sort of a email chain. Anybody that's interested in getting into bylaws, I know a few of you, it's probably a passion, probably this guy. So just let me know. But it's basically kind of updating our bylaws to better reflect our role and what we do on a regular basis. So. And then I don't really have a chair report, just thanks for re-electing me. Thanks for re-electing Jeff. He makes my life a lot easier. And I'll look forward to another year working with you guys. Any other reports or speeches?
I do. The 2025 Sir Walter Raleigh Awards are scheduled for the 17th, which is next week. So encourage you all to attend if you can. Also, I put at everyone's spot the 2024-2025 Raleigh Parks Annual Report. A lot of great information. You might see some familiar faces. This is also coming from us having July as Raleigh Parks or Parks, National Parks Month.
All right. If there's nothing else, this meeting's adjourned.